welcome to Astro Podcast. I am Jody Shirami, and welcome back. If you're one of my followers, I appreciate it. To my subscribers that are still here, I really appreciate it. I've had a very long hiatus. It has been 9 weeks. I think it's been more like 12, 14 weeks. And then, of all the days I decided to come back, there's Hurricane Helene hitting Florida, where I've recently moved to. So as of right now, Hurricane Helene has slowly been passing by us out in the Gulf of Mexico as it heads north towards Tallahassee. And the real thing with Hurricane Helene is not like Debbie, where she sat still for a while and flooded a bunch of things. With this hurricane, it's fast moving. We're only expected 4-6 inches of rain. It's really the storm surge out on the coastal area where people have their beach houses and people who live in motor park homes also have to evacuate because the winds from this Category 3 hurricane is about 75 to 100 miles per hour. So that's really, really a lot, right? Also, this is the astrology report for September 27th through October 4th. I am back on my weekly podcast, and I chose this week to come back knowing it was going to be Libra season, and there was going to be a Libra new moon eclipse on October 2nd. I am a Libra rising. So for me, Libra season is in my first house, the house of self-identity. So if you know your rising sign, it's very important to find that out because that is how people see you in the world, is your rising sign. And Libra is a cardinal air sign. So Libras are thinkers and talkers, and as a cardinal sign, they like to lead in speech, and they're lovely people. The Sun Libras I have friends with, I absolutely love them. I have fun hanging out with them. You can be yourself with them. They're very understanding, natural, caring people. And Libra suns are ruled by Venus. Libra sun, moon, and rising, your three signs: sun, moon, rising. So Venus rules over Libra, and the other sign that Venus rules over is Taurus, where we've had a lot of interaction in Taurus, correct? And right now Uranus is still in Taurus, heading to the very end degrees of 29 degrees to head into Gemini. So the air signs are Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius, the opposite side of Leo, my sun. So the opposite side of Libra is Aries. And right now, the North and South Node are still here. They're getting ready to move out at the end of this year into next year. They're going to be shifting into the Virgo Pisces axis of service and dreams, dreaming up of new things, of new ways to be. Also called the void. Neptune is the void where nothing is clear. Nothing is set. There's no boundaries. But right now, Saturn is retrograde. Pisces, giving a little bit of structure to Neptune's power. Neptune's at the 29th degree. Pluto just moved back into Capricorn, the 29th degree. So right now, all the outer planets are at the end degrees, except for Saturn. Saturn's at the 15th degree, I believe, of Pisces. So with all the outer planets at 29 degrees, every time a personal planet moves around, because they move around a lot quicker, they're always going to have some sort of a meeting with these outer planets. So let's get into the astrology of the week that I've been studying. All the whole time I've been off, I've been studying astrology and getting better with my tarot readings and having consultations with people and guiding them as best as I could. Oh, Libra season which occurred on September 22nd, which was Sunday. Okay. Libra season starts in September 22nd, goes to October 22nd. And then we head to Scorpio. And as you might know, Venus has moved into Scorpio. So that is a big deal. And Venus rules over Libra. So the new moon in Libra, where the moon is in between the earth and the sun, we're going to have a ring of fire new moon eclipse on October 2nd, next Wednesday coming up. And as we get close to that, I will tell you more. But the big thing about Libra season this year, according to Molly McCord, one of my favorite astrologers, is that this is going to be a season of big, humongous changes to our values. And again, Venus is in Scorpio, and those are our values. So Venus from Scorpio will be overseeing this new moon. Okay, so that means that besides being a new moon, which and an eclipse, right? It's already so powerful. And now with Venus, its ruler in Scorpio, the sign ruled by Mars and Pluto, Venus here will be very, very passionate, very investigative, because Capricorn likes to dig deep and go down to the bottom of the ocean, see what's down there, what little creatures are down there. So this is Venus in Scorpio. She's going to dig deep into your own heart because Venus is a personal sign. So the deep diving in with Venus continues. So the thing about the Ring of Fire is that this eclipse is going to occur below the southern hemisphere. It's going to be below South America at the very tip. It's going to go from the tip of South America and go up, swing towards the Hawaiian Islands. So that's a big, kind of a big S shape. And it's a very long eclipse. Molly McCord said it's going to be 7 minutes long and it's going to put an imprint on Earth. What does that mean? It means that we are all affected by the movement of the energy that supports our life on Earth through gravity, through food, through rain, through water, through the sun growing food for us. We're all affected. So this eclipse will affect us greatly because it is so close to Earth. And because those other planets, those other aspects are involved, Black Moon Lilith and Mercury. So Libra season is for upgrading, for harmonizing, for initiation, for up leveling, for being easier to relate, becoming more communicative and getting along with others, according to Molly McCord. That's how I interpret what she says. You can go watch her on YouTube at Molly McCord also. She's awesome. Also, we're going to be wanting to speak with other people because it is a companion sign. I always like to be with somebody because of Libra. But I do enjoy the Aries part of me of being alone. And I am alone a lot. I'm not really one to talk on the phone. I'm not really one to chit chat about things that don't really matter. And sometimes they come across as being too serious. But that's when you get to really know me. Otherwise, you don't think I'm serious at all. Okay, so um, we really want to balance ourselves out during this new moon. And balancing means our actions match our emotions and match our thoughts. So we have to get all three of these in order: mind, body, and soul, which is our heart, right? And I've always been talking about balancing. And again, meditation, which I do a lot when I'm alone. And meditation doesn't mean you have to sit cross-legged. You can just be sitting there staring at the sky and not having anything to think about. Just releasing your breath and paying attention to what's out there. Like right now, I can hear the hurricane while I'm talking to you. So I'm kind of in a meditative state. And I put myself here because as the day went on, more win more things. And everything about hurricanes also happens a lot of times at night where you can't see it. The storm surge is coming at high tide, which starts at about 9 or 10 o'clock. So all those things are in the dark and you can't see. So that's fear, right? It's fear factor where you can't see. So basically, I've had to put myself into a meditative state today. I ran around the house doing things and checking everything before I could go out anymore. So here I am talking to you guys now. Okay, so the conjunction at 12 degrees of Libra, there's going to be changes and there's going to be upgrades. There's going to be a reset in wherever Libra falls in your house. Okay, so like for me, Libra is the 7th sign of the zodiac wheel, but for me, it is my rising sign, so it's my first house. So Libra's in my first house of self and how people see me and what I'm about, because it's my ascendant, so it's my first house. So everything from everything from there works to where you're trying to be that person that other people see, right? And then you have your private side, which is your moon. And then you have your heart, which is your sun. Your whatever your sun is your heart that rules your inner fire, what you're here, your essence is. And your moon rules your emotions and how you act when you're in private. So as a Pisces moon, I'm a little bit of a emotional. I watch a movie, I'll cry at home. I watch a movie in theater, I'll be kind of embarrassed to cry. So these are the things I've noticed, and I realized that once I got into astrology, I'm like, that explains a lot about myself. So that's how astrology can help you, is learn to help you learn to love yourself and see who you are, that you're just a human and you can always make things better. Nothing's ever negative. The planets don't tell you what to do. I don't tell you what to do. I just suggest what could help depending on when you're born, and I look at your cards and your charts, and then I can say, okay, this is probably what you need to be happy. And that's how astrology really works. But it only works when you really know yourself. So there's a lot of astrologers out there that are very what's the word, new age, really into a lot of things, and mostly young people. And that's great, but a lot of times as an astrologer, you can only gain the wisdom you need as you get older. And that's something I've also learned looking at my card book for over 20 years now. Is that what I thought was this and that when I was 30 isn't this and that when I'm 56, 57 years old. So that's another thing about astrology I've learned, is that it is a progressive thing. It doesn't remain the same. As you get older, your houses and your degrees, your planets will move and shift. Just like in the destiny cards, when you head to 49, you move off of your card you grew up at and go into a new area. And that's when I knew I had become a Libra rising at about 49 years old, right after it's called the rebirth at 45. So these are things that you can learn from your astrologer, or you can do it yourself. And if you go to Molly McCord's page, she has a class that teaches you on the progression of your chart. And then Heather Hemsworth, if you go and look at her on YouTube, she can help you learn more about uh, uh, comets, um, stars, and the astronomy of today and where everything is in correlation to the astronomy, which is really cool and really shows you how it works. And I've been really studying that this summer a lot. Sabian symbols, tarot cards, it's a lot. Okay, so mental consciousness, air, strong expression. Libra has strong expression because they're a cardinal sign, as you can see with me talking to you all the time. Diplomacy is the number one thing about Libras, and Venus rules over it, as we've said. Okay? Now, Venus is at that point where she's not going back. She's digging deep, she's looking down, and she's not going back. Okay, if you haven't heard that mantra in the US lately, because of certain laws being retracted by the Supreme Court, um, a lot of women in America say we're not going back. They want to take us back. A lot of the conservatives here that are on the Republican side, the running candidate right now for the Republican, Trump, wants to set things back, give states the power, and take certain things back. And none of that's flying with a bunch of people because I'm getting out of that. I'm jumping ship, and I did. So, and that is what the lesson of this Libra new moon, who's meeting up with Mercury and Black Moon Lilith, is saying. Do not kowtow to other people. Be nice to them. And if you do something for someone, don't expect anything in return. Give it to them out of the goodness of your heart as a Libra person would. And when you want to lean into the other side of that access to balance yourself out, lean into the Aries where, hey, it's about me. Screw you. I'm talking louder. I'm louder. I'm faster. I'm the star. So lean into that a little bit. If you're feeling sometimes like you're kowtowing, you can't get away from people constantly asking you to help do things, and you're giving away your time, your brain power. So just remember that if you give something to someone, do it because you want to, out of the goodness of your heart, for nothing in return. Do it because you think that it's important, that the person needs it, or it makes you feel good to do it. But if you're looking for something in return, you're setting yourself up for the Aries section to come in where you're angry and you might get too angry. Okay? So don't do that to yourself. The other big thing that's happening right now still is that I talked about this a little bit on my stories that on Instagram I was sharing the past month or so. Is that Mars in Cancer, and I had misspoke. I said 8 months, but it's only 6 months, 2 months less. But Mars is in Cancer, and it's going to on 9/29, which is Sunday. Sunday is when everything breaks open. After Sunday, the hurricane Helene will be up in the middle of America, over Tennessee, I believe, and heading into Illinois, where I just moved from. So this hurricane is coming all the way from Africa, went through the eye of the needle in Cancun, the two little islands there, and came up through the Yucatan Peninsula, came to the Gulf of Mexico, is absorbing all the hot water in Tampa, which is a growing metropolis, by the way. I went and visited that, and it is completely, some of it's not recognizable at all how much it has completely grown, because we weren't here during the time of Tom Brady and the Super Bowl, so things have just skyrocketed around here. So the water is so warm that it became a Category 3 out here, and it keeps going. It might become a Category 4 before it hits Tallahassee, and that all of that's devastation for the people in Tallahassee and that area, Gainesville. So God bless us, and then it's going to head into Atlanta by tomorrow, and then Sunday will be up in the middle of America in the breadbasket. So really pray for us and everyone here, and everyone just pray, because it's not going to stop. There'll be another hurricane probably before the full moon that's coming up October 17th, which is another. All these moons are super moons because it's very close to the earth. The next one's going to be a super full moon also in Aries and in Aries. So this new moon is preparing us, paving the way. Get used to this feeling, because we're heading into a full moon in Aries. Is going to be kabow. You think this moon? You think that moon? This one's going to be huge, 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 because of this new moon occurring and what it's doing. It's transforming Mercury, the way Mercury thinks and interacts. It's transforming Venus, who's in Scorpio, and Scorpio is the sign of permanent change. Mars and Pluto rule Scorpio. So while she's there, She's going to really be digging deep, investigating. Why am I doing these things? Why do I care about this? What do I need to come with me? I can only bring 10 things. What can I bring with me? And the new moon occurring at the same time as this hurricane, where you have to release things, your house, your memories in the house, your pictures, things you've always dreamt of. When I lost my house, when I moved out of my other house that I thought was my forever house, it's been 6 years. I moved into a new house that's ours. It really sets you afloat. And some people always have a house. Their parents had a house. They get the house from their parents. The parents buy them a house. Not all of us are that lucky. Some of us have to struggle hard to get that house. And so now that I'm back in my house and there's a hurricane, I can really feel that I don't want to lose my house. So that's how everyone feels right now. So everyone really should get together and understand we're all the same boat, Noah's Ark, because this is the time that everything is changing. And like I have said many, many times, it's going to happen whether you want it or not. So might as well use the change for good, which is move to a new area, get a house, change your lifestyle. I'm now into permaculture, and that's something we're going to talk about at the end of this video. Stay tuned for that. So, all of our emotions, all of our stable emotions, all of our validations, all of the things that we believe are true about ourselves are going to go through the ringer with Venus in Scorpio during Libra season, which Venus rules over. So basically, we're saying here that you have to grow up internally. You can ask people for help because Libra is a sharing sign. You can talk to your friends or whatever about it, but it ultimately comes down to you and what it is you want to do. And according to Molly McCord, it's going to be mental versus the body. So mental, because Mercury's involved in the new moon. It's in Libra at 11 degrees, right next to the sun and moon at 10 degrees. And Black Moon Lilith is at 10 degrees. So we have some really big shakeups that are exacerbated by the fact that Venus is in a very passionate, no stopping type person here. And Mars is in there for 6 months, and on October 5th, which is next week, after the new moon on the 3rd or on the 2nd, on the 5th, when I come back, that is when Mars begins its retrograde phase in Cancer. So every action you've had till October 5th will be reviewed during the retrograde period. So that's why I've been saying on Instagram that make sure that your actions are aligned with your purpose, your dreams, what it is you really want. So, and then we get to the solar eclipse on October 2nd, the Ring of Fire deep dive. It's a deep dive because, again, Venus ruling this is in Scorpio. I have Mars in Scorpio, and I would have to say that I am very persistent. If I need to know something, I'm willing to dig deep and investigate. I'm willing to ask questions. I'm willing to back up my information. So that's what a Scorpio's energy goes towards, things like that. So get ready to do that. So there's a big grand water trine occurring in the heavens now, and it is with the water sign. So water again is emotional and personal, private, and this is supporting what I was talking about earlier, which is Venus digging deep into see what it is we want, right? So Venus again is in Scorpio, which is a water sign at 15 degrees. Saturn is in Neptune is in Pisces. Saturn's in Pisces at 14 degrees. And then Mars is at 15 degrees of Cancer. So, what are all these about? Cancer is the first water sign, and it is a cardinal water sign with Mars there. So, Mars is a leader in Cancer. They're getting ready to go to nap soon. And then Saturn, which rules over Capricorn and Aquarius, is in Pisces, and that is about digging deeply into the depth of humanity and what exists at the very end of the road. And Saturn can help clean up what's happening at the end of that road, put everything into structure and into a situation we can understand spirituality and your place in the universe. Saturn can help you understand that better. And that's what's happening also. Saturn's aiding us in that. And Saturn's going to be in Pisces for another year, I believe, and it's going to move with Neptune into Aries together. And then Venus, again, is in Scorpio. We're talking about that. Scorpio's a deep dive. So Venus here is helping us to be sure going forward into the future that what we value is going to serve us in the future. And we have to really throw away some of our deep-seated fears here from childhood. Maybe we're still angry at our parents sometimes about things. Or maybe you did something you're ashamed of way back when you were a kid and you didn't know better and you didn't, whatever was going on for you. You did the best you could. So you have to forgive yourself these things. You have to say, well, I was just a kid and I tried my hardest and I got in a car accident. I did something wrong. So you have to forgive yourself and promise yourself you'll try not to do that again and that you've learned your lesson. And to balance it out in the universe so that there's not an imbalance inside of yourself going forward. Because again, like anything else, when you're imbalanced yourself, without meditation and breath work and all these things, you're really no good to yourself or to anybody else. What's the other thing? Saturn and Neptune supports emotional depth and flow. Again, all the water signs are about flow. Water signs are emotional creatures. It's my moon, and your moon rules who you really are as a kid. So your emotions are locked into your DNA, into your pores, into your hair, into everything you do. So water signs want to have a union with someone that's very deep and understanding and can be themselves and not have to have a facade up and always have makeup on. Wake up in the morning with makeup on in front of your partner. Have the perfect body so your partner still always loves you. Uh, uh, don't fight. Don't cause troubles with your in-law. Things like that. That could have been something you were taught as a child to be this way so that you could be liked, be useful, be noticed. And now you're an adult. Those things are no longer needed for you as an adult to get attention or whatever it is you need, because you should be able to give yourself attention and love. And then when you want to be with other people, you don't need them to tell you what to do. You need them to love you and understand you and give you support for who you are, instead of gaslighting you and saying, "Oh, what are you worried about? That's nothing. It's just a hurricane. No biggie. Don't get ready. Don't get the house ready for anything." That could never happen, right? Because a hurricane is crazy. You can't gaslight that. But people do, and people will. So think about that. You love yourself. That's all there is to say about it. So now I'm into Heather Hemsworth and what she was saying about this area. And she says that we are in a state of the final gasp of power, the 29th anaretic degree, which is my sun sign. So my core was born to be here at this time of anaretic degrees to help others see the light and understand that the way I have grown up is always like a hurricane every day. And I never knew from year to year what was going to happen, where I was going to be, if my mom was happy or not, how things would go, if she was or wasn't. And a lot of kids grew up like this. It's not just me. So there's a lot of us out there that are helping change the world towards a more balanced, natural way of being. There's a lot of permaculture gardeners out there giving back to the earth. And I found them online. I've joined them, and they give so much help. And I got a book here. I'll show you my book by Amanda Knox. Um, and it's really great. She gives you recipes. She tells you what plants that are native that will help you have a lazy garden type of situation, which is basically a natural garden where you go out and there's fruit and you didn't do anything, because everything in the universe, the way they are, companion plants, they love each other, grow together, help each other grow. So it's natural. You don't have to mess with it. You don't have to monocrop, which is not the way to go, which is what's ruining the earth, which is why there's so many storms right now, why the oceans are so warm. And as I said, that a big gust just came through. It's completely dark now. When I started talking to you, it was a little bit light. Now it's completely dark. And all I can hear is my pool cage, the screen, as the wind goes through it. So, global warming isn't a joke. It isn't a lie. If we die from global warming, we'd be blessed instead of dying from a nuclear war, which seems imminent almost at this point. But we can change all that, and it can start today with you being a nicer person, helping other people, maybe not turning away from that person who you don't like, maybe smiling, and you can see they're in pain, you can see they're lonely. Maybe you can reach out, when they come walking by and they want to be noticed, say something, say hey. Once you become friends with people like that and you help them, a lot of people most of the time like it and will become your friend. But there's also those people that have a pain inside that no one can heal but themselves. So even if you reach out and you become friends and even acquaintances at work, it doesn't mean you really understand what's going on inside. And that's what Venus deep diving into Scorpio is about. Learning about yourself and seeing yourself for who you truly are. And one of my things I wrote down here is mirror work. And this is something I did myself as a little kid. So you want to meditate and reflect on who you are, and you want to face your shadows. And that's what Heather Hemsworth is also saying. Less is more, emotional overload, less is more, um, be authentic, and I may mix up what Molly and Heather are saying, and maybe even my other person I love to watch. So, excuse me if I seem distracted. It's a hurricane making some noises out there. So Heather Hemsworth is going to have a guest on pretty soon. He wrote a book about the shift in the Kaya Yuga. The Kaya Yuga is the lowest level of consciousness. Is a term astrologers use that I'm learning because I'm starting to deep dive into. the really deep diving of a lot of astrologers that are been doing this for 40, 50 years, let's say. And the Kaya Yuga speaks of the time of man's growth, where it's at the very ending of this cycle of growth. Makes sense, right? Every 100 years, every 1,000 years, there's a cycle of growth happening. And hi, we're getting ready to get maybe our power go out, so that's the end of the video. It's pretty long already. I'll try to get this out tomorrow on Friday. Hopefully, electricity comes back. But if not, plan on Saturday. Thank you for being here and for showing up. I appreciate you.